Hey guys, and welcome to the newly done DJ FM radio show Mission Sunrise with your hosts Argon and
Me, Zoe. Hello. So this is something extraordinary, and you're listening to, as what Argon said before, Mission Sunrise. And I know my name is spelled XOE, but in reality it's pronounced Zoe. So that's just something to point out. And we are here for the first time with our first podcast.
Woo! Yes, I'm very sure that all of you are very excited about this first podcast. And well, to new viewers and listeners, we'll give introductions to you guys. Yeah. So I'm Argon, and I like philosophy. I like reading, though I haven't done much of it recently. And I like movies. I like anything entertainment-wise because, it's fun. Zoe, anything you would like to share?
I also really like, diving into entertainment. But as I've already put in my bio on our Something Extraordinary blog, I also like philosophy, and sometimes I can kind of ramble on about sentimentality and the world's facts and mysteries.
I mean, who doesn't nowadays, huh? Everybody's just
with your conspiracy theories, you always send me
conspiracy
so many
theories.
and comments.
Yeah. I'm very into news and journalism. I think it's very cool, especially independent journalists. I think they're very cool. That's another fact, but Okay. Yay! Anything you want to add, Zoe?
Yeah. I like writing as well.
Oh, yes.
I think composing stories or any form of literature is really kind of my thing.
Oh, I love literature. It's great.
Very nice.
Oh yeah, another thing. Yeah, I like the arts. I'm an artist personally, and I paint a lot of the time, so yeah, that's cool. Art.
For those of you guys who are new to this podcast, which probably every one of you is, given that this is our first podcast, the reason why we're so familiar with each other is because we've been friends for 3 years now.
Actually, I've known her since I've actually known Zoe for about 70 years, to be honest. I am a time traveler, actually, so I'm just kidding. I'm not really. But it would be cool if I was.
Okay, let's get on topic. So, for those of you who are new to Something Extraordinary, it's an organization that is currently being projected to the world through a blog at Something Extraordinary at WordPress.com and through social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
Make sure you follow us
through this podcast.
Yes. Something Extraordinary was created around 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago, and we just kind of wanted to lend out a reaching and comforting hand, let everybody know that, hey, we're here in it together, because, life's a bit hard sometimes, and that's why we're here doing this.
I think we've all had experience or at least interaction with perhaps like difficulties in our lives or maybe mental health issues. And through this organization and through our content, we really wanted to lighten up your day and make this platform a safe space where you guys as listeners / readers are able to feel comfortable talking about your own lives and perhaps find some solutions for yourself from other viewers and readers as well.
Something Extraordinary, of course, if you haven't checked out the website yet, which we highly recommend you to do, you'll read the first article that we posted there, it's been a while since we've started posting, hence why we're back and more committed. And we really just want to support you guys and create a very loving community and a very friendly, safe space where it like coming to this website should be like you're going to a friend's house and you're just chilling with them, right? So that's the type of atmosphere we're going for.
Yeah, definitely, Argon. So, why is the name something extraordinary? You might wonder. Like, why is it not something extraordinary? In fact, what I or Zoe did when creating this organization was at first I was like, I asked Argon, I was like, do you want to do something extraordinary? But then the more I thought about, the word extraordinary, I realized that in congruence with our purpose, which is really to do something ordinary, being friends with other people, trying to bring positivity or joy into the world is really something that should just be ordinary. So I made this organization called Something Extraordinary. And after lots of work, we're here today to talk about our topic of the week and what plans we have coming up for SEO.
Definitely. Yeah, SEO has a very special place in my heart because, of course, Zoe started up the project and I joined soon after. Except, around this time, in like this generation specifically, mental health is very stigmatized when you talk about it. And we were realizing that like mental health is just that's just another way how you live, right? So we figured that it was very important that something like that should be normalized essentially, which is why named it something extraordinary. So yeah, that's the story behind it. So let's talk about positivity, the topic of the week today.
Yep. So if you go on the blog, we have posted our first article called Topic of the Week, Positivity. And essentially, this is kind of like a reintroduction back to our kind of what it's going to be focusing on. So our topics of the weeks are going to be subjects that are related to our mental health as a human being. And we believe that positivity is a big part of that, which is why we wrote about it.
Health. Positivity is one of the key words that you think about when that topic is brung up anywhere, which is why we chose it as our first topic. And it's a very positive way to start up this new branding of the channel and the podcast and the website. So that's why we chose positivity.
And our blog name is Reassurance, and I think that ties in a lot with what positivity is. So that's why we chose that.
Okay. So right now, there's been some new changes to the whole way we run this essentially organization. From now on, of course, we're going to be introducing podcasts as seen as this one, the very first admin podcast that we've done. We've also introduced a new schedule that will be uploaded almost every month as to what topics of the weeks we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be discussing about. And additionally, of course, there's going to be more articles, and we actually decided to take it a step further, and we have a few days that is specifically dedicated to our viewers and our readers where we bounce back ideas and we openly talk with you guys. So make sure that you're tuned in for all of that.
Yeah, definitely. So any feedback that you guys give us through the blog or through our social media accounts is very precious to us. And we're also hoping to include some of your own perspectives on our podcast. So in addition to what Argon has said about having a place for reader interaction, or at least a time for it, on Friday, July 3rd, we are posting a How Are You Doing article, which is really the SEO team trying to check in with you and looking to see how your week has been.
Yeah, we really appreciate the feedback that you guys have given us so far. Even if all of you are new to this channel, there have been two very loyal supporters from the beginning that we can see showcased on our website, and we're very thankful for that because when we were starting off this project, we were kind of unsteady. The boat was a bit rocky, you know what I mean? And so seeing your guys' comments really helped bring us reassurance. Person who commented almost 3 years ago, and to the person who commented, a day back, maybe around 11:30 p.m. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Again, like Argon said, any commentary is really valuable to us. Knowing that our efforts are perhaps bettering the world in some way or influencing a part of you guys.
Yeah, so let's break the ice, shall we? Even if we know each other for a while. Of course, we have to break the ice with you guys. Let's do something fun. I suggest we play 2 truths and 1 lie. Would you like to go first, Argon? Oh, why, thank you. Yes, I would love to go first, Argon. So here's my 2 truths and a lie. Okay. Let's think about this, shall we?
Want me to go first?
Oh yes, that's a great suggestion you have there. Yeah, why don't you go first?
Why, thank you, Zoe, for making that advice. We have known each other for a long time, so I think what I'm going to say doesn't really surprise anybody, except for our viewers, I guess. So, let's see. Why don't we play the game This or That? Do you know what that is?
You want this or that? Wait, are we not doing 2 truths and a lie?
You already know so much. Like, what is
I have 2 truths and a lie. I have 2 truths and a lie. I can tell you that.
Fine, go for it.
You want me to tell you? Okay, here's the first one. I have seen a geese on an airplane. While I was going to a destination, I saw a goose or a geese. Yeah, a goose
on the plane.
On the plane. The second one. I have been to Canada. Okay? The third one. I would definitely go off grid if I had the chance to.
Okay. Very nice. Okay. I think, I'll be honest, I think it's, I don't think you've been to Canada, but I want to know the story of the first one.
The first one?
If it's true.
Okay, it wasn't true because I wouldn't. It wasn't
true. Okay.
I wouldn't go off grid. I wouldn't go off grid. Like, of course, that's tempting. But if I had the chance to, I wouldn't go off grid. There's no need to, unless the government's gonna do something. But there's no need to.
So the third one was a lie?
Yeah, the third one's a lie.
Well, that was good. I didn't guess. I thought it was gonna be the first one or the second one.
Nah, the first one was true. I think I was pretty young. I was like 5 or something. I don't know what this man was thinking, but he came on to the airplane with like a pet duck or something in his plane, in his like arms, right? And I don't even know how they permitted that. It's kind of crazy.
What if it was like a what do you call them? Like a safety animal, which is like a comforting animal?
I don't know, maybe, but I guess it was the fact that like it was like within state flight. It was like only like 2 hours, right? So I think that's why they permitted the duck, which is hilarious to me. I just see this duck and it just like squawks once in a while, and it was hilarious. Anyway, wow. that was a truth. The second one's also a truth. I haven't been to Canada actually, but like I was there for a layover stop when I was going somewhere else. So I've technically been to Canada, I guess.
Amazing.
And then the third one was a lie because I don't need to go off grid, Like I was talking about like if you had the chance, like right now, if somebody came up to you and they were like, "We can wipe you clean off the records. You can go off grid like right now." Like, would you do it? Like, no, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Also, it's the coronavirus pandemic, so I don't think going off grid would be.
Yep.
I mean, it would be a great way. It would be a great way of social distancing, if you know what I mean. But I don't think that's.
nobody goes near you because they don't even know where you are.
They don't even know where you are.
Yeah.
They don't even know who you are because your like records are like wiped clean.
That's true. Not even the government can find you.
Not even the government. Like, imagine I'm the only person who has antibodies, but they can't get my antibody blood.
Oh my god!
Because
why do you like that?
Imagine like if they can't get to me, right? Because I'm not even a person who's existing. But at the same time, they could get to me, and all they would have to do would be like keep it under wraps, right? Because technically, if this person, not even me, like say this person was like wiped clean of all their records and they weren't even existing, then the government can do whatever they want, right? Because like they're not even there. They're not even an entity, so nobody really cares what happens to them.
This is why I said you're very into conspiracy theories.
This is not a conspiracy theory. I said this is what could happen.
Yes, this is what could happen. Like the ceiling could fall on me right now.
Oh my god, I think I see the ceiling moving, Zoe. You should be careful.
Wow, I can't believe that. Oh no. Someone call me ambulance. Oh no, please don't do that. I'm okay, guys. Life update. The ceiling didn't crash down on me. I'm currently alive and well in my home.
I don't know. What if you didn't even feel the crash happen and this is just the after effect and you're still talking?
Let's get on to deep talk.
Oh, aren't you gonna do the 2 truths or a lie?
I don't really have anything though.
It doesn't even have to be something really big. It can be like very small. Like, haha, I don't have cheese in my fridge. Number 2, my pinky toe is pretty small. Number 3, I like books. You know, it could be like that type of a 2 truths and lie.
Oh no, my mind is blank.
Okay,
can we do this and that? Just like do it this.
Okay,
and that.
Okay, we'll do this and that. What is that? What is this and that?
It's just like, for example, if I said hot or cold, and then you pick one of the items.
Can I say lukewarm?
And then you explain.
Room temperature.
Why are you like this? Okay, give me a this or that.
This or that? Earbuds or headphones?
Neither.
That's not even an option.
I have to say neither. Well, but I'll pick headphones because they're known to have less damage. They're known to be less capable of causing damage to your ears. So that's why I would pick headphones. Alright. So essentially that's what I would pick.
I'd say headphones too, because my ears are small. And earbuds are too big for me, so
they always fall out.
Every time I smile, like my facial muscles just like push up my ear. They fall out. Okay, so now let's talk about positivity.
What deep talk is? It's a segment where we essentially discuss the topic of the week. And for this podcast, deep talk, what we're going to be doing is like a Q&A session, where perhaps for the first segment of Deep Talk, I asked Argon some questions about positivity and listen to her. And I'm able to hear what she thinks about positivity and what she thinks about it. And also some strategies to perhaps increase positivity or anything she'd like to share.
Yes.
Should I ask you questions now, Argon?
Should I say the general thing I think about positivity, or?
Yeah. Okay, I'll ask you that then. What do you think is positivity?
Great question. That's kind of heavy, you know. Positivity has many meanings. You know what I mean? Like you could be talking about positive ions in chemistry, or you could be talking about positivity in the philosophical and mental health sense. And we're talking about the latter here, so let's dive into that. Personally, I usually relate positivity with happiness and optimism. As a general viewpoint, my viewpoint's pretty optimistic most of the times. I teeter on the edge of being realistic and optimistic, so, you know, But to me, positivity is more about the little things in life. You know what I mean? Like the smaller things. Like, hey, I was walking home and it was a pretty bad day, and then all of a sudden I see a little butterfly and I'm like, yo, that's pretty chill. Like how that butterfly is vibing, you know what? I'll vibe too. You know what I mean? So to me, positivity is it should be very comforting. That's what it feels like to me. Yeah.
So, from what you said, there was one point that I think kind of like caught my attention. So, you said something along the lines of you usually try to stay more realistic than optimistic. Am I kind of, is my takeaway correct there?
I try to stay more optimistic than realistic.
Oh, okay, okay. So, what is your opinion on positivity versus optimism? Do you think they're intrinsically related, or do you think they're two separate mindsets?
Optimism can only be born from positivity. You know what I mean? Because optimism is all about the life and the viewpoint of where you look towards the positive things in life. When you choose to kind of like focus on the good and the great things in whatever viewpoint that you're seeing life through. So I definitely think they're kind of like the two sides of the same coin.
I see. How do you try to find the optimism for yourself? Do you think it's just about, looking towards things that make you feel happy and then you're like, oh yeah, my life is good, you know? Or is it just a place where you're like, okay, I have to be positive now. And then you're just trying to like feel that positive energy within you. Like I've tried both ways.
You try both ways?
But just like without trying to place positive energy in an item, like a stuffed toy. Like I'm saying, okay, this brings me happiness because it's comfortable, it's cozy, versus if I try to like tell my mind, hey, be more positive. There are a lot of things in the world to be positive about. Or you're just saying, oh, I'm happy to be alive.
Funnily enough, I don't have that type of a viewpoint when it comes to positivity. I don't I don't ever go through the process where I'm like, I should be happy right now. I should be, cuz like it's been a while and I've kind of learned on my own that it's important to feel whatever emotion that you want to feel in the moment. So if I'm sad, I'll definitely direct all my attention to how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that way. And it's sort of like on the days that are good, when you're very optimistic, you feel at peace with yourself. I think that's the most important thing to me when I'm trying to feel optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for talking about that. It's really made me realize how unique everyone's perspective is.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm hearing is that you kind of just, when you're in the mood, like
Yeah.
in a specific mood, like, oh, I'm feeling very positive, or perhaps I'm feeling happy, then you kind of stay in that emotion and you're not affected by other moods. And
Yeah.
you're able to make yourself become happier just by being happy and not trying to gain positive energy from other things. I'm not sure if I'm kind of projecting my question here correctly.
I mean, the thing is that I'm generally a pretty happy go lucky type of person, and I know because I don't like to dwell on stuff that makes me like pretty upset about like life, right? Like say there's like a really bad thing, like a rough patch of my life, right? What I always usually think, and it's pretty cheesy because a lot of people tell you to think this way, and I've ended up adapting to that way, but I always end up thinking, oh, it'll be better. Even if I'm like in a rough patch right now, it'll be better when I look through it. And even if I'm in like a quarrel or like a bit of disagreement with like a friend or someone, I don't usually like to stay on it too well. I don't like to dwell on like, oh, what I should have done better, right? Because you don't want to have regrets. That's the thing. You should enjoy life, right? So I tend to try to aim towards a type of thing where I don't have regrets, and I'm like, you know what? Today was a good day. I did the things that I wanted to do, and I made peace with who I was at the time that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think that's also one of my philosophies, or just typically what I feel about the world and about the individual is that if you carry on throughout the day and you end up thinking that whatever effort that you put into the previous hours were all a waste or they weren't valuable, then what's the point, right? You just feel like you wasted your life. While in fact, every result that comes out of your day is something where you can determine it to be positive or negative or anything that you want it to be. I think it really depends on what take you have on
Definitely.
that event, right? Like if I'm saying, oh, today I stayed at home and I read a book, right? But in fact, my body, it's deteriorating in terms of its health and I'm not exercising well. If you're looking back and you're just thinking, oh, well, I didn't exercise and now I'm all, overweight and I don't feel good about myself. I think at that moment you have to decide that, like what Argon said, I should have no regrets, right? Like what I did was valuable in that time and I did what I wanted to do.
Definitely.
Balance in life has always been something that's essential to maintaining our lives as humans. If we feel overwhelmed by one aspect of our lives and we let it overwhelm us or consume our minds, then it's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
I think this might be a question that our viewers might have when they're listening to this, because I've also experienced this. What if you feel like at that moment you're being regretful, right? But you just can't get out of that energy no matter what you do. Like you can try to reject, remorse. And you can try to reject all the negative energy, but it just doesn't work out. What do you do in that case?
So you're like in
From what I understand, you're trying to you're able to stay in the mood and try not to have regrets, but sometimes the emotions can get pretty wild. Like perhaps you've experienced that, the emotions need to be let out. Or you have to stay at that moment. You can't get out of it.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, if I feel upset about something, I'll stay upset. I definitely, if I don't think that I can easily overcome it and try not to like dwell on the regret, I'll not like, oh, I'll stay upset because I'm stubborn like that. No, not like that. But it's a type of thing where it's like you need to take care of yourself, right? And one of that is having a well and kind of like nicely, I don't know how to put it, but you have to take care of your mental health, right? So I think the first step I would do, especially in those scenarios, because of course we've all encountered them, the first thing that I would do it would be to acknowledge that I'm sad, first of all. Because, as much as sometimes there's a thing in the media where it's kind of expected of people to like smile through the pain and stuff, I don't believe with that. If you are genuinely kind of in pain and your mental state is not the word is not the best, I'd say that you just let that moment ride out. You don't want to have like new happy experiences suddenly rush at you. You know why? Because in that moment, say that you're like you genuinely like to do something, right? So say you like bike riding, right? And you're super upset. The thing that I've learned is that when you do some things that give you a lot of happiness, when you do that when you're upset, you end up kind of like chain linking your sadness to the thing that you most found joy out of, right? So the next time when you're happy and you do the thing that should make you happy, you don't feel that happiness because you're like, the last time I was here, I was upset. And then you start thinking about that, right? So I'd say the best thing is to write it out and then go through the steps and be like, yeah, I'm upset. What should I do? What was the reason why I'm upset? If it's somebody who made you upset, like talk it out. And if it's something that you did that was upset, you should just for me the best thing is to talk it out. Usually I go to a trusted person or something, and I'll go to them and I'll be like, hey, I don't think I did well, what do you think I should do, right? And you feel better because when you have another voice there that's going to be encouraging and supporting you, even when you're in your rough patch, that really helps. So that's my take on that.
That's really interesting, and I agree with what a lot of with a lot of what you've said, especially the part about. I think this is also links into like signs. I read that a lot of times when you're experiencing negative emotions, that, or at least you're feeling, or yeah, if you're feeling negative emotions and you're trying to force yourself to become positive by doing things that supposedly make you happy, it actually turns out to have a like a reverse effect.
Yeah.
Where you just start getting more and more and more negative, because perhaps at the moment you're thinking, this was supposed to bring me joy. Why is it bringing me sadness now?
Exactly. Yeah.
You kind of fall into this cycle where you're kind of like, okay, I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be upset. But then the more you're doing that thing, you're just trying to project more of yourself into what you're doing.
Yep.
And you are negative, so you're just projecting more and more negative thoughts.
It happens. It happens a lot of the time. Even if like right now, I'm in a pretty happy mind, right? You could say that I'm in a pretty positive mind right now. But it wouldn't be the same if, say, I was upset and I was talking about the same thing. Because when you're sad or upset, it's okay to be sad and upset. But the thing is, for me personally, sometimes that viewpoint of like when you're like seeing everything around you, you have a very open mind when you're happy, right? When you're upset, sometimes you end up kind of narrowing your point view. So it's important to kind of build that resistance within yourself and say, hey, it's okay. If there's a negative that I see right now, there's always going to be a positive somewhere else. So I think that's important.
Yeah, thank you, Argon. What you said is really valuable, I think. Just being able to, at least for me, like just hearing about your experiences with negativity and positivity, I think it kind of offers me a broader viewpoint now. Yeah, it's really good hearing about your experiences and your stories.
And guys, make sure if you want to give your own thoughts on positivity, of course, feel free to comment or leave a feedback. Our perspectives will always be different, so we're always open to all the different viewpoints that you have. If you think very differently from me, that's fine. It's all welcome because we're all trying to learn a little bit about each other. So with that, I think we should take a little music break. Hey guys, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that music recommendation and that song. So, yeah. So let's start up on Deep Talks Part 2. Zoe, take the floor and explain your generalities towards positivity.
I'm back as well. My thoughts on positivity are fundamentally similar to what Argon said. In my opinion, I think positivity is a mindset that is very individualistic. It's a very well-known fact that every person in this world is uniquely different and that there are a lot of diverse lives. But I really think it's about, trying to learn what positivity is for yourself. And for me, I think positivity is really about trying to find some energy that makes you feel good. I think a lot of times positivity is associated with happiness and joy, but a lot of times I don't even know what happiness is. Or like, what are we trying to do when we're saying, oh, hey, so I'm feeling really happy today? Or like, I'm saying, oh, I need to pursue happiness. I don't even really know what that is. So I think positivity is really about, making yourself feel good. And whether that's trying to find something that gives you positive energy, like a stuffed animal, or it's simply trying to analyze a situation or your life, from a logical perspective and finding the positive sides to certain situations, then that's positivity. I can't really tell you like a specific way to find positivity because perhaps it may not work for you. And we all have different backgrounds and lives that we live. So, what I'm going to be telling you is stuff that I've learned from my own personal experiences. So, and if you feel that your ideologies on what positivity is doesn't really line up with mine, or what the things I talked about doesn't really fit with your life, then that's totally fine. Like with what Argon said, I think it's really, if you want to share your thoughts on positivity and your solutions, then we'll definitely look through them and being like, oh yeah, I agree with this. Or perhaps in some cases we're saying, oh wow, I didn't even realize that, this could be a solution.
I definitely agree that positivity is very various in a way. It's different for every individual, as you said. So I definitely agree with you there. Um, I want to ask one thing, which is you
Go for it.
mentioned that you don't even know what happiness is. Do you want to expand on that point on how it links to positivity? Because you you mentioned that you see positivity as a mindset, right? But in regards to the fact that you were like talking about, sometimes you're unsure of what even happiness is. How does that view affect your overall view on like happiness, positivity, and optimism?
Thanks for the question. Like I've said before, I think happiness is a really ambiguous word or concept or event. In fact, I really can't really define happiness. I think like happiness, positivity is just something, it's just what appears when you're feeling good, right? If your endorphins, rush in or slowly walk in, I think anything that makes you feel good about yourself and what you've done is happiness and positivity. Perhaps in a way, defining happiness kind of restricts your ability to feel positivity because, like many things, humans try to categorize events, stories, emotions, and by defining happiness, perhaps it's going to kind of narrow down the way we think, the way we view happiness and the way we take in happiness. Like if I'm saying happiness is about happiness is about doing something that makes you satisfied, or happiness is doing something that makes you self-actualize, that makes you reach your fuller potential for yourself, then I think people start trying to pursue happiness by only doing events that they think will satisfy themselves, right? And in that way, if they find that, it's actually getting more difficult, or their lives are getting more difficult because they're trying to find, always trying to like pursue more things, and perhaps at one point they're never satisfied with their lives, then does that mean that they're never going to gain happiness? Yeah. So positivity and happiness to me is just what you feel when you are feeling good about yourself. And you're able to feel like, oh, I am living a good life right now. I think that's positivity. I've said a lot there. Like sometimes my thoughts are scrambled. The stream of consciousness.
That's okay, because that's how I was too just moments ago. I'd say it's rather interesting how you have more of a kind of if in my own words, a more scientific approach to positivity, because you mentioned the endorphins slowly walking in, right? That was a bit hilarious. But in a more humane sense, when you're talking about positivity and how it applies to you, what would you think that is for you? If it's different for everybody, what do you say positivity is for you?
I can only say that positivity is just feeling good about yourself.
Feeling good?
Feeling that I am living here on Earth with this person, like with myself, and I'm able to, go through every day of life and being like, oh, I think I can continue living tomorrow, right? And not feeling like, right? I think positivity, it's kind of like light and darkness. And, well, perhaps it's more like, perhaps I'm not saying like negativity is darkness and positivity is the light, because I think that really kind of categorizes the two concepts too much. Essentially, positivity is going on to the next day and being able to, enjoy life. Oh, I remember, like, light and darkness, you can't really define light without darkness. And I think the same thing goes for positivity and negativity. Positivity comes out of negative events sometimes, or you can say that I'm feeling positive today or right now because I'm not feeling as negative as before. So it's up to how you kind of find or find negativity and positivity. More scrambles of words trying to convey what I feel about positivity, which I think is a super vague, ambiguous. That's why we're here, to talk about it and maybe find some light, shed some light on the topic.
If we backtrack into the conversation that we had about my views on positivity, you mentioned in that conversation that you saw as a scenario, you gave two examples of positivity. And one was that you kind of force yourself to be positive. And the other was that when you associate the emotion with, like, for instance, the stuffed animal, right? Do you wanna talk about why those are the two main examples you thought of when you thought of positivity in that sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, I think I kind of get tired of always trying to put positive energy onto objects, like with the stuffed animal. And I'll be honest here, I was saying stuffed animal as like a general object that kind of brings happiness or positive energy, but I don't really own many stuffed animals, so can't really say that it's the main bringer of positivity for me. But, like, for example, if I am writing right? I'm writing, and maybe it's poetry, or maybe it's just, random stream of consciousness where I'm talking about what I'm feeling right now, and I'm just trying to imprint my negative emotions onto the paper, right? And I think it actually makes you fall deeper, or at least for me, deeper into the negative emotions. And for example, okay, if I'm feeling a bit negative and I'm trying to do something that I think brings positive energy for me, like writing, actually, like what you said, with, for example, like riding your bicycle, if you're feeling upset, being kind of, if I'm trying to force positive energy out from something that I enjoy, I don't think that's really positivity. Maybe it's like a fake positivity where you're trying to convince yourself that by doing this activity, oh, I'm feeling so happy right now. But in fact, I think it makes you feel more rejected when you realize that I'm being upset right now, for example, and I'm trying to write poetry, something that brings me happiness. But in fact, with every effort that I take to write poetry, I'm only bringing myself more negative energy. Right? Like, I'm trying to counteract my negative energy with a positive energy that writing poetry gives me. But in fact, I'm writing poetry with the mindset that I'm negative. And I think this goes for like writers when they're trying to compose something. Like, writing is all about trying to portray the mind. And if my mind is negative, then what's going to come out isn't going to be completely positive, or it's going to be a fake version of positivity.
That's a great point you bring up. And in regards to negativity, actually, I remember once that it's actually pretty common for humans, and in regards to human nature, to be more aware of like negative events and negative surroundings. I think, because I've read that, and it says that our minds are kind of like naturally set up to kind of process and be more aware of negative things. Hence why when we see art and poetry, it's more easier to relate poetry and art and the creation of it as something beautiful, but which is born out of like sadness, because we feel those emotions way more than we would actually feel positivity. Positivity and negativity are kind of they're deeply rooted to one another. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a great point that you mentioned. Anything else you want to, maybe some coping tips on how you stay positive throughout the day?
I think how I stay positive throughout the day.
Do you normally experience positivity or like kind of optimism to be one of your number one like emotions that you usually feel?
I think I try to stay away from being optimistic.
Okay.
And I think that's something that like kind of, is very, very different from what you said about.
I mean, it's like, as we've discussed before, perspectives are they're very unique, and it's very interesting once you know how a person kind of sees the world as, because once you're thinking on your own and you tend to look through the perspective that the other person has, it's very interesting because you understand where they're coming from and how they are as a human, essentially. So I totally respect your opinion for that point.
You're able to see your differences more, like when we're sharing about like our own personal beliefs in our own life stories, just because they're so natural or they're so real that we are able to apply like emotions. Like every human being feels them, I'm pretty sure, right? So by trying to judge or not judge or kind of analyze your own experiences on that, what should I say, that line of emotion, right? You're saying, oh, these experiences or my beliefs have caused me to feel this about positivity, right? Then I'm able to compare my own experiences as well on that line of positivity and see how it matches or does not match with the other person's beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great medium, I think.
Yeah. So do you wanna expand on why you prefer more non-optimistic views?
I think optimism to me kind of has a bit of a negative connotation. It seems a bit unrealistic, but in a way that's I think it's kind of fake, because optimism to me kind of feels like you're trying to reach for something, you're trying to feel something that doesn't actually occur in real life. If I'm going through a tough time, or like for example, I wasn't able to accomplish something that I really wanted to achieve, and this other person comes up to me and is like, it's okay, just be optimistic, and you'll realize that it's actually not that bad. Like, for example, look for the silver lining. I think you can look for the silver lining, but optimism kind of, what should I say, invalidates your negative feelings.
Oh yeah, that's why
Right?
I definitely agree with that. That's why even if I tend to look through to the more positive things in life, I teeter on the edge of being a realistic person and a more optimistic person.
Yeah. Optimism. I would rather. I think you probably know this by now. Within our friend group, I think I'm a little bit known as the person who kind of tries to look at situations with a very logical perspective. I've had friends tell me that like they kind of go to me because I'm so logical that they know that my perspective isn't going to be influenced by my relationship with that friend, or by my or by putting myself into, if someone tells me their problem and I put myself into their shoes, which I mean you need to do in order to understand why that person is feeling that way. But I won't let myself be overwhelmed by that emotion and start to think irrationally. So the same thing, the same concept goes for positivity. I think I try to find positivity. I find positivity by, you know, I think I committed a mistake. This is an example, right? I committed a mistake, or I wasn't satisfied with myself. I own up to it. I'm like, okay, yeah, what you did with there, bad. What you're feeling right now, negative. But then I'm also like, well, okay, that doesn't really do anything for you. Like, okay, I'm feeling negative. Oh my gosh, what should I do now? Should I just, I don't know, scream and kick a wall? I like bruise my hands.
Now you're feeling more negative.
Furiously.
You're like, oh my god, I bruised my hand. I'm so angry at myself.
Also, I feel like I hear this so much from my friends, like, or from people around me. They always say, oh, I'm such a failure, Mr. Loser. I can't do anything right. I'm dumb. And when I think about that, I'm just like, sometimes you might feel like that, but I always try to stay away from those perspectives.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I will never once say to myself, I am a loser, or I'm not worth or worth of myself. Like, I'm not deserving of having this life on earth. Like, I would never say that, just because I think change is the only thing that's constant. There's a saying, right?
Yeah,
and the same
change
thing
is
with
the only
emotions.
thing that's constant. And I personally am in love with that. Like, that's a great saying, to be honest.
Yeah. And emotions are so ephemeral. Like, they're here this moment, and then they're gone the next. So many like embarrassing moments I remember from years past.
Yeah.
Like, perhaps they come back to haunt me like every once in a night. But when you really think about it, you're like, okay, that was like nothing compared to,
something
the world's
else,
difficulties, or what I'm feeling right now, right? But then if I think really objectively, then I'm like, okay, what I'm feeling right now, so what? I have to take my mistakes as a catalyst for improvement, or a catalyst for finding happiness for myself. Because through having those difficulties, I'm able to find positivity. And I'm not saying to like let go of those feelings. Like, I think Argon and I actually talked about this during a previous meeting. One of the things we wanted to talk about was not invalidating emotions and not invalidating difficulties. Like, if we're saying, oh, just let it go. It doesn't really matter, you know, like, who cares? That kind of thing. I think that does nothing for your problems. Like, if I'm here, okay, for example, Argon's going through like a really tough time right now. She is like, I don't know, she just punched the wall and she bruised her knuckles, and she's like, wow, I hate life.
My knuckles hurt so much.
I come over to her, and then, okay, Argon bruises her knuckles, and she's like, I hate life. So then I come over to her, and for example, I'm sitting right next to her, right?
You see me bruise my knuckles. You have no reaction.
Okay, and then I'm like, oh no, are you okay? But then like, okay, after she gets like patched up, okay, she gets patched up, and I'm like, and then you're like, oh, I hate my life. I can't believe the world has done this to me, or like, oh, I hate myself. And then I'm like, it'd be fine, Argon. No worries. Just let it go. And then like she points at me with her bruised knuckles. She's like, just let go. What, huh?
I bruised my knuckles in this scenario, right? And one of the things that is very often compared to mental health is physical health, right? So
yeah.
Many times say I bruised my knuckles in this instance, which I would not do, because please do not bruise your knuckles. It hurts. I know. I should know. I accidentally bruised them one time because I was clowning around. Anyway, you would not get the same response if you were mentally hurt, right? So say you were like, oh my god, I feel absolutely bad. I feel terrible. I feel like I'm not worthy, right? People would come up to you and they will say, you will be okay, do not worry, and they will leave. But if you have bandaged knuckles, do you know what they will do? They will be like, oh my god, I hope you get better. What do you want me to do for you that will help you with your bandaged knuckles, right? And I just hope that type of viewpoint on physical health will be kind of gone towards mental health too, right? So yeah, any last thoughts, Zoe, before we wrap this up?
Not really. I think what we've said so far kind of really introduces at least a portion of what we think about positivity. Because I think we're still trying to figure this whole shabam out. You know, like, what is positivity? What is happiness?
What is life? Why am I here?
How do we deal with negativity? That's all something that's like in the process. And I don't think any scientist or any philosopher can really tell you exactly how to get better, right? Yeah. How do you feel better about yourself?
Because that's kind of like a life journey, you know? You might think that the journey of life is to, like, become successful, get money. No, honey, that's the capitalistic mindset. No. I think the life journey is really about kind of, you know, finding the weaknesses and the strengths of who you are as a person, right? As a human, right? It's very important to just live out and be like, hey, if I'm not good, that's fine, because I'm human and it's okay to be like that.
Yeah. It's up to you to find your self-worth, guys.
Yeah.
You are in control of yourselves.
You are in control of yourself. So to the bird that might have pooped on your head in the morning and you feel sad about that, you are in control of yourself, lovelies. You go and wash that bird poop off. Go do it. Scream at the bird. In fact, ban the bird. Put a restraining order on the bird. Do that. Go out there and, you know, look for the little things in life. The things that make you smile, so you can keep them close to you.
Yeah. Great talk, Argon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Great job. Joining, yes. I'd say this is a good session. I'm looking forward to more sessions. This was rather fruitful.
Yeah. So, for all of our listeners, please do check out our blog at somethingextraordinary@wordpress.com. It's also linked on our social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr, which is the-SEO Team. We hope that this podcast was helpful, or it incited some positivity in you, or at least some thoughts on how to find positivity for yourself. Do you want to say our motto together?
Well, sorry. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe because we're posting this on YouTube.
Yeah.
And maybe the Anchor channel. So if you're listening to this through Anchor, don't forget to follow us and check out our other links. Until now, this was Argon and
Zoe. Oh, wait. And look forward to a guest podcast in the future, also on positivity. So, or just look forward to it. We have new and exciting content coming up.
New content, guys. Come on. You got this. Okay, so yeah, that was Argon and...
We'll bring the sunrise to your sunset. That's our mission statement.
That's our mission statement. Yeah. I hope you guys leave this podcast feeling reassured or maybe some thoughts to chew on. So, until next time, peace out.